Yeah, I'm back with part two to the video. I really didn't want to do a second part, but the video got cut off because somebody called me, and I just realized that you just can't continue where you left off like I wanted to. But as I was saying at the end of the video, my best friend always reminds me how I emphatically told her that Whitney would be the first to go. Because at that time, like 2001, 2002, it might have even been in the late 90s, there was a point where Bobby was looking like death warmed over. It seemed like he had had a stroke. His mouth was twisted. He was looking like strung out and jacked up. And we saw him like that quite a few times. But I'm talking about that time, if you remember, where he had a twisted mouth. Like he had a stroke. And he was a bit too young to be having a stroke. And so everybody thought, yeah, you know, Bobby's strung out. He jacked up. He get ready to get out of here. And I was like, no, no, no. You know, in my little few decades that I've been on this earth, irony has a way of expressing itself a whole lot. And so I just knew that, yeah, the whole world would think that Bobby be out of here first because Whitney was this angel who just got with the wrong guy. And if she would have married somebody like, well, Denzel Washington is already married, but somebody like Denzel Washington, somebody on her level, you know, she wouldn't have went down this road. And this was the common thought of way too many people, people who really didn't know Whitney. And you know, that machine that they created behind her, that was the image that was projected. She was this classy singing angel, you know, and so to find out that, yeah, she's doing drugs, and she wasn't doing drugs before she met Bobby Brown, so it appeared. And now she married Bobby Brown, and we know Bobby's doing drugs, and look at her, and it's all Bobby's fault. Hey, I thought Bobby dragged her down too. But no. Come to find out, Whitney was getting high way before she met Bobby. Her brother introduced her in 1987 to crack. So, you know, we can't really blame Bobby. But as I was saying, being that, you know, she left out of here, Christina's gone, and Bobby's still here. Bobby's still here for a reason. There's something that he needs to do. There's something that God wants to use him for. And he's just going to have to give it all and surrender to him. You know, just don't surrender when you're doing an interview. You know, you really got to give it all up and sell yourself out in a good way. You know what I mean? And Bobby's still here for a reason. The one truthful thing he did say in that interview was that God ain't finished with him yet. That's the truth. Bigger than all of that, I really wish him the best. Hey, if he needs a wife that's more like his mama to keep him happy and keep him straight and sober, I'm cool with that. And finally, my final thoughts or my theory on what happened with Bobby Chris. I think subconsciously she wanted to be with her mother. She never grieved properly. I mean, I don't know what Oprah did, if she tried to encourage her to go into grief counseling. But the fact, I mean, when the cameras rolled off after Bobbi Kristina said, after 2 weeks, she accepted her mother's death. Once those cameras went off, I would think Oprah would have got them together and said, look, this is unhealthy. This is an unhealthy way of grieving for her. I know, if I know this, I know Oprah knows this. And I hope that's what she did. And if Oprah didn't go to Pat and say, look, this girl is in dire need of counseling, then shame on Oprah. And if she did go to them and nothing happened, then shame on them. But I was telling anybody who would listen, yo, that girl is in deep trouble. She says that she accepted her mother's death and it's only been 2 weeks. Maybe I could have accepted that from Bobby Chris if Whitney was like really ill for a while and it was touch and go and she was in the hospital and she had some illness, whatever, or terminally ill, then maybe I can go with that. But for Whitney to just drop dead tragically in a tub, So I think subconsciously, Bobby Chris just wanted to be with her mama. And she wanted to go the same way her mama did. Because in that twisted way of thinking, when you're in so much grief and pain and you haven't processed it properly, you think, well, if I go the same way she goes, I'll definitely get to her when I get to the other side. So I think subconsciously she just wanted to be out of here. That girl was hurting. She was hurting. She was in pain. And nobody could see her. Meaning nobody could see what she was going through. And if they did, they didn't care. I mean, Bobby Chris had access to a whole lot of money. I mean, maybe it was given to her in bits, but still, it was a whole lot of money. Did not people learn what can happen when you have a drug problem and a whole lot of money from Whitney? I've said before, I wish Whitney would have went broke. I wish she was standing on a corner tooting her butt up in the air and selling it for $5. I wish she was giving blowjobs in a back alley. Yeah, I said it. Why do I wish that? Because I wish that would have been her rock bottom instead of her rock bottom being death. I wish she would have ran out of money with a drug habit. Because if she would have ran out of money and she was on a corner tooting her butt in the air, maybe at some point she would have looked at herself and looked at her life and looked at her condition and got serious and did something about it. But when you're dead, there's nothing you can do. There's no coming back from that. She could have came back from sucking men off for $2 in the back alley. Hell, Natalie Cole did. But she had so much money where death was her rock bottom. It's a terrible thing to have an endless supply of money and you got a drug problem. So these people around Bobbi Kristina, in particular, Pat Houston, who's in charge of Whitney's estate and seeing to it that Bobby gets what she's entitled to. which is everything. And you see her on the same path, doing the same thing as her mother. And what do you think? Because she's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, she's her own woman? No. Unacceptable. You're not your own woman when your family and I love you and you're destroying yourself. You're not your own woman when you don't know how to make the right decisions to protect and take care of yourself and be responsible and mature. So you just let her have all this money and let her just run free. I wonder if Pat would have, did the same thing for her daughter. Because Pat's daughter, I mean, she's a very admirable young lady. I really appreciate her. She plays the piano and she's very poised and just a decent young lady. It's just some things I just think about. But anyway, that's enough of part 2. Please subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Whether you agree or disagree, I value everyone's opinion. Hey, I'm just Madam Whip-Ass. I do not know everything, honey. You might think I do, but I really don't. And I can learn from you just like you can learn from me. Y'all have a great evening. Peace out.